Malthusian Time, Ambient guilt. One of the least discussed psychological conditions of modern civilization is ambient guilt. Not acute guilt, not moral guilt in the traditional religious sense, but ambient guilt, a low level but persistent sensation that one is failing at something unspecified. The feeling hovers constantly at the edge of consciousness. One wakes with it faintly present. One carries it through the workday. One feels it while resting. One feels it while scrolling. One feels it while watching films, eating meals, exercising, reading, sleeping, even when supposedly taking time off. It's the strange modern sensation that somewhere, somehow, one should be doing more. This condition is so widespread that many people no longer perceive it as abnormal. They assume it's simply adulthood itself, yet historically, this form of psychological pressure would have appeared bizarre. A medieval farmer may have feared starvation, plague, war, taxation, or divine judgment, but he likely did not experience continuous anxiety that he was insufficiently optimizing his existence. Modern individuals increasingly do. Why? Because Malthusian time creates an environment in which potential obligations expand infinitely while human duration remains fixed. The mind therefore exists under conditions of permanent insufficiency. There is always another email, another opportunity, another article, another book, another skill, another investment strategy, another side hustle, another form of self-improvement, another body standard, another productivity system, another crisis demanding attention, another notification waiting to be answered. Modernity transforms possibility into moral pressure. This is crucial to understand. In earlier societies, many limitations were external and obvious. Geography constrained movement, information traveled slowly, occupations were inherited, social roles were relatively stable. The average person simply lacked access to most alternate life paths. But technological civilization shattered these boundaries. Now every individual carries within his pocket a machine, constantly exposing him to lives he could theoretically be living instead. The entrepreneur in Dubai, the bodybuilder in LA, the monk in Japan, the investor in Singapore, the 20-year-old millionaire, the digital nomad, the polymath, the influencer, the genius, the aesthetic, the perfect husband, the perfect father, the perfect Christian, the perfect entrepreneur, the perfect physique, the perfect life. Global hypervisibility produces ambient inadequacy. At every moment, one is confronted not merely with reality, but with statistically exceptional realities curated algorithmically for maximum psychological impact. The human nervous system is not designed for continuous exposure to civilizational outliers. Historically, comparison remained local. A man compared himself primarily against his neighbors, family, village members, fellow craftsmen, nearby rivals. Now he compares himself unconsciously against the entire planet, against millions, against the most successful examples from every category simultaneously. This creates a civilization quietly drowning in perceived insufficiency. Even success becomes unstable under these conditions because achievement no longer terminates comparison. There's always there always exists another tier, visible, immediately beyond the current one. The man earning 30K compares himself to the man earning 100K. The man earning 100K compares himself to the millionaire. The millionaire compares himself to the billionaire. And the billionaire compares himself against history itself. Malthusian pressure enters consciousness through comparison loops with no natural ceiling. And the digital economy profits immensely from this instability. Ambient guilt is economically useful. A person content with himself purchases less compulsively. A person secure in his appearance becomes resistant to cosmetic industries. A person at peace with his social status becomes less vulnerable to prestige marketing. A person capable of silence becomes harder to monetize through stimulation. Thus, entire systems increasingly operate by maintaining low-grade psychological dissatisfaction. One need not create total misery. Indeed, total despair is economically inefficient. The ideal consumer remains functional, hopeful, ambitious, but perpetually unconvinced of his own adequacy. The machine whispers continuously, you could be more efficient, more attractive, more informed, more productive, more disciplined, more optimized, more visible, more successful, more desired, just more. Ambient guilt, therefore, becomes the emotional atmosphere of Malthusian time. The tragedy is that many individuals interpret this sensation morally rather than structurally. They assume their exhaustion results from personal weakness alone. They fail to recognize that the surrounding informational environment itself imposes historically unprecedented cognitive pressure. A man was not designed to receive international news, career competition, social comparison, adverts, sexual imagery, political outrage, financial anxiety, tribal conflict, and algorithmic stimulation within the first 10 minutes of waking up each morning. Yet millions do this every day. The consequence is a strange civilization filled with people who feel simultaneously overstimulated and unfulfilled, busy yet uncertain, connected yet lonely, informed yet mentally scattered. The soul begins experiencing existence not as inhabitation, but as perpetual catching up. This is one reason modern rest often fails to restore. The individual technically ceases working, yet ambient guilt remains active beneath leisure itself. He watches entertainment while vaguely sensing he should be improving himself. He reads while worrying about unread messages. He exercises while thinking about career advancement. He spends time with family while sensing unfinished obligations elsewhere. Even rest becomes psychologically contested territory. The Puritans once feared idleness because idleness might lead to sin. Modern civilization fears idleness because idleness interrupts economic engagement. Stillness itself now appears suspicious. A person sitting silently, without stimulation, increasingly appears abnormal within many environments. The smartphone solved this social discomfort elegantly. One no longer needs to appear alone with his thoughts publicly. Any silence may now be filled instantly through digital occupation. Yet, this avoidance carries profound consequences. Without silence, many individuals never encounter themselves fully. The constant noise prevents existential confrontation. One keeps scrolling partly because stillness permits difficult questions to emerge like, am I living correctly? What actually matters? Who am I becoming? What deserves my finite lifespan? What have I sacrificed unconsciously? Ambient guilt often masks deeper spiritual disorientation, and here lies perhaps the darkest irony of all. Modern civilization possesses more comfort than most previous societies could imagine, yet enormous numbers of people move through life carrying invisible psychological weight, continuously pressing against consciousness, not because they're starving, not because they lack entertainment, not because they lack information, but because they inhabit systems where infinite expectations collide against finite existence. Malthusian time transforms life into permanent negotiation with insufficiency, and the result is ambient guilt, the quiet suspicion that one's life is leaking away improperly, combined with uncertainty about how to stop the leak at all.